Hello, my name is John with the Antique Craftsman, and in this video I'll be showing you how to make this vintage looking Tealight candle holder. Let's get started. For this project you'll need sandpaper, spoons, hot glue gun with hot glue sticks, paint with paintbrush, tape measure, pencil, straight edge, tea candles, a piece of wood, and for the rust accelerator you'll need vinegar, hydrogen peroxide, salt, measuring utensils, and a container to mix it in. Okay, for this piece I'm going to be using this piece of plywood. It came off a fence that was taken apart. It's got the gray patina on it. Been out in the weather for a while. I really like the look of it. It has the old nail holes. It's about 4 inches, 5 inches wide, ½ inch thick, and plenty long enough for what I want. For the Tealight holders, I'm going to be using these spoons. Picked them up at a local thrift store. Just got a variety of different styles here. No one's like the other. Kind of like the look of them. Different ones. So the first thing I want to do to determine how long I want this board, I already know that I wanted the 4 spoons, is I'm going to lay the spoons out on the board kind of the way I want them situated, and then measure from there how long I want the board to be. Start off with, I'll just place the spoons on here sort of the way I want them. I'm going to want them catacorning from each other. I'll do it like this. Of course this won't be the final look, but at least I kind of got an idea of how I want the spoons laid out. Maybe I want them a little bit further apart from each other. It's just however you want it. Then eyeball it, see how you like it. Okay, so that looks good to me, so I'll measure that and see how long that would be. And I'm thinking 26 inches. So I'll measure 26 inches from the top, and then I'll make a mark. Okay, so I got my 26-inch mark, and I'll take the square it up on the side here, line it up at 26 inches, draw a line across. So that's where we'll make our cut. For the cut, I'll just be using a regular handsaw. And there you have it. And we'll give it a light sanding just to get rid of any burrs or anything sticking off of it. Okay, now that we got it sanded, before we add the final paint to it, I'm going to wax around the edges here. Do a little wax on the top, the spots where it get worn. The reason I'm doing that is once I get the paint on and that dries, and I go to sand some of the paint off to let the wood show through, it'll be a lot easier to get that paint off with the wax underneath it. So we'll go ahead and do that now. We'll just use one of the Tealights, tea candles, and we'll just rub it on. Pay particular close attention to the edges and the bottoms. Okay, for the top coat, I'm going to be using an eggshell white that has been dulled down, a little brownish hue to it, by mixing in some coffee. What I did was brew a pot of coffee, let it sit for about a day, and then slowly add the mix to it. You can get it as brown as you want. I just did a little bit just to get the not so much of the white, but more of the brown, more of that antique looking white to it. So that's what I'll be using. And when you apply your coat, don't really go for full coverage. Let some of the wood show through. Sort of a dry brushing technique. Now that our paint is dried, we'll do a quick sanding on it just to remove some of the white paint and let the wood show through from behind. Again, pay particular close attention to the corners, along the sides, places where it received the most wear. Now you don't want to go too deep, because once you do, you'll get past the paint and start taking off the natural stain weathering of the board. We want to leave that. You start getting down too deep, it'll just look like a brand new board you were working on. So we'll just do it enough, just kind of give it that old whitewashed look. And that should do it. Okay, for the spoons, I'm going to want to flatten the spoon side so that it can easily hold the tea candle. Like I've done here, I'm just going to use a handle on the concrete and flatten it. And then we're also going to flatten the handle of it so that it can sit on the board. So you can see all these are curved. So to give it more grasp on the board, we're going to flatten those as well. And make sure you remember to wear your safety glasses when doing this. So we're just going to start on the concrete floor here. Any thick piece of metal, concrete, cinder block, anything like that will do. And just take your hammer, and then we're just going to hit the sides here and flatten that out. Okay, now that we have our spoons flattened out the way we want them, I'm going to add a little rust to them. Now you can mount them as is. There's nothing wrong with that. I just want mine to have the old rustic look to it, like it's been sitting. Combining these ingredients. You're going to need a large enough plastic bowl for it and something to mix it with. You don't want to mix it with metal because it's going to rust. So either use a plastic spoon, or I'm just going to use this piece of wood here. Okay, so the first thing you want is 1 cup of hydrogen peroxide. So we have a cup there. And we'll pour that in. Then you're going to want 1/8 of a cup of vinegar. And there's no 1/8 of a cup on here, so I'm just going to eyeball it. This doesn't have to be exact. And I think that'll do it. Add that in. Then you're going to want 1 tablespoon of salt. So I have a tablespoon. Add that. And then mix it up. Okay, looks good. Then we'll drop our spoons in. And make sure they're all covered. Alright, once they're all covered it in there, go ahead and put the top on. And we're going to let them sit like this for a minimum of 3 to 4 hours, and in best circumstances overnight. So we'll just set these to the side and let them sit overnight. So I want to give you guys an update on the rusting situation on the spoons. The hydrogen peroxide, white vinegar, and salt didn't quite do what I thought it was going to do. I don't know if that's due to the coating that was on the spoons, or the metal that it's made out of, or probably the variation of both of it. So I looked around, tried to find some other ideas on what to do, and saw some people using muriatic acid. It just so happens I had some laying around the house, so I gave that a shot. If you don't have any, I think you can pick some up at your local building supply store. So, had a jug of it here, muriatic acid. When you go to use that, it's an acid, and it's, you know, it can get dangerous, especially with fumes on it. So make sure you're wearing your gloves, face mask, eye goggles, and do it outside. And so what I did was I poured that into a container, sanded the spoons, just used rough sandpaper, try to get some of the coating off of it, sanded the spoons, and then put that in the acid and let that sit for about an hour. And it ate away some of the stuff on it. It's a green liquid. After an hour it turned black. Took the spoons out and they were a dull dark gray black. And from there, set the spoons out, and then I'll show you what I did with that right here. Alright, so what happened is I took the spoons out of the muriatic acid. There. Alright. So the spoons are dry. And I got them laid out here. I think this is the way I'm gonna have them. Alright, so I got the hot glue gun already plugged in, ready to go. Now that I know how I want the spoons, first thing we're going to do is bend these out to make a shelf. So we've already flattened them. And just bend them out like that. Get as close as you can to a 90-degree angle. Once you have them glued on and how you want it, you can adjust it. But we got it bent like that, and we'll go ahead and glue this first one on. Going to want it about like that. Get it around so you can see a little better. And then we'll just apply hot glue to the back. Don't want to go too crazy on it, enough to hold it. Looks good. And then we'll place this on here. And just hold it for a second or two, let the glue dry. Good. And then do that for the rest of them. We have glued our spoons onto the board, and that's how I have mine set up. Entirely up to you how you want them, where you want them. But now that we got those on there and the glue is dried, we'll go ahead and put the Tealight candles on. And to mount the candles, I'm just going to use a little hot glue on the bottom and just stick it straight onto the spoon. And there you have it, the vintage looking Tealight candle holder with a rustic board and rusty spoons. Sure to decorate your antique style home. Thanks for watching. This has been John with the Antique Craftsman.